Marcellus Wiley, what's good?
Life's good, man. Life's great.
Yeah?
Just enjoying it all, man. Taking it in. Extended the family. Got the little man at home, 10-month-old. So
Okay, congratulations.
thanks, man. Trying to create the legacy.
No doubt.
All great.
So you grew up in Compton.
Yes.
Okay, now we always hear stories about Compton. Now, when you were growing up, how was it?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I was born, raised in Compton, and then I split time between there and like Slauson and Edgemar over there. So, in growing up in the 70s, don't remember too much, but then the 80s hit, and Reaganomics
Right,
hit.
the crack era?
Crack hit, and the gangs took off, and the drug trade took off, and you just saw the poverty, the gangs, you saw the adversity, you also saw the low ambition, like people just started to aim lower because it was a war zone in a lot of respects. And it was an interesting time because I didn't know what to expect. I had no reference point. I had nothing else to base it off of. And you just learn some survival instincts. You just learn how to get through it. You learn what to wear, what not to wear, where to go, where not to go, who to be around, who not to be around. You just kind of learn these codes. And I still felt protected even though I was in some adverse situations. I saw some crazy stuff. And it was tough.
Like when you see the Compton map, when you see it, it's like sectioned off with gangs. Essentially the entire city of Compton is all gangs. Like every section, Crips, Bloods, Mexicans. Like Bloods, you know what I mean? So like when you grew up, was it a Crip area, a Blood area? How was it?
Yeah, it was a Crip area right by the high school, Compton High School. So, if you go back, Centennial High School wearing the red and Compton High School wearing the blue, Crip, Blood. A lot of that started from there. So yeah, it was a gang. Palmer Block, Compton Crip was the one that was like really intense right there. And I didn't have any brothers growing up. And it's weird, I've always said thank God I didn't have brothers because I knew they would have, if they were a part of that, because my uncles were, they're all in gangs, all in drugs. And if I had brothers, I think it would have brought me closer to the streets than further away. But just grew up in that neighborhood and it was crazy because then everything was intense and everything was real. Like to Crip Walk, C Walk was real. Like that was like, I'm bringing attention to me, my set, this is who we are. And you fast forward to 20 years, 30 years and you're seeing just R&B singers do it. Like it's just weird. A lot of the codes got watered down and a lot of people, it got desensitized to a degree, but it changed over the years. But when I was growing up, I knew what to do and what not to do, and my uncles protected me until I started to see them fall to the wayside and fall victim to the streets, and then that influenced me.
What do you think was the craziest thing you ever saw or experienced during that time?
Well, one of the crazy, it's a list. Like every time I bring up one, someone reminds me of another one. I was like, yeah, that ranks up there too. One time we were playing a football game at Manual Arts High School, and they had an apartment building across the street from there that was right across from the football field, and we were warming up. And they already had moved our football game just because of the gang warfare. And I couldn't go to school in Compton. My parents, my mom was like, no. My mom went to school in Compton, straight A student her entire life, but knew that I just had to go to school outside that district, and we had to live, and that's why we were splitting time. We were warming up early game, already trying to make sure that the gangs are not there at nighttime, so it's a daytime game. And we're warming up doing our jumping jacks, 1, 2, 3. And all of a sudden you hear, and we knew what it was. Sometimes I hear people say they think it's firecrackers. I'm like, you didn't grow up in Compton. Ain't no firecrackers. Those are, and so we hit the deck. And usually when you hit the deck, for some reason you think you're safe. For some reason you're like, all right, I'm below the bullets, which is absurd. But you think you're below the bullets. And we're on the deck, and I'm looking around. Referees are on the deck. Everyone's on the deck. And then we look around, and then all of a sudden you start to see dust. They were shooting at the field. They were shooting at us. Like two teams, Westchester, Manual Arts, warming up for a football game. Pop, pop, pop. Safe. No. So you're just sitting there stuck. You don't run because the bullets are landing there. You're like, where I'm going, it's an open football field.
Wow.
And supposedly somebody from the apartment building had a problem with somebody on the team, one of the teams, and that's just how they settled the score. Thankfully, no one was shot, no one was hurt, but that ranks up there one of the scariest moments.
So you yourself never joined any gangs?
No, not even close.
Not even close?
Didn't even have the desire, didn't even have the itch. I saw my uncle murdered. I saw another uncle killed. Difference. Murder, hit upside the head with a bat, died. Killed. Someone cut his brake lines, another rival gang. He used to drive a...
They cut your uncle's brake lines in order to kill him?
Yeah.
That's how serious it was?
Yeah, it was that serious. He was driving his truck and on the freeway and going for the brakes and no brakes. And so that happened. And then one committed suicide. Those are like my big brothers, because in my family, my uncle's maybe 8-10 years older than me, but it still felt like we were part of the same generation. And when I saw them all get sniped by the streets, I was like, are you kidding me? So thank God for rap music. Thank God for NWA. Thank God for King T, Ice-T. They helped me because I listened to those stories and I knew the reality of those stories. I knew the end. After the 5-minute song, I knew how it really ended. And I lived vicariously through it. I got my gangsta out on my mixtape. I got my gangsta out on K-Day. But for real in them streets, there were no games being played.
Now, you had a situation where you talked about recently where you had ran into Suge Knight.
Yeah.
Did you know Suge Knight back in Compton?
Oh, no. First time I heard of Suge Knight outside in the football world, you hear about the death row days. I knew all that. Then I get to San Diego, and my coach, Coach Wayne Nunnally, was like, he was telling us a story, and he was like, yeah, we coached Suge Knight. I'm like, what? He was like, yeah, UNLV, I guess, in Vegas. And he said Suge was a good player and all that. And so it was kind of funny to hear his side of how Suge was a good dude, a good player. It kind of made him more of a teddy bear in our eyes instead of the death row guy. But that was right before I had my encounter with Suge. It was I forget the name of this club, but right now it's this real popular, super popular gay club that's on Santa Monica Boulevard in that corner. I remember being there, and I forget the year, but this is when Game was starting to get his name out there, and he used to freestyle everywhere.
2004, 2005, something like that?
Maybe that, yeah, it's before the album, so it had to be like before 04, 05, but yeah, he's like freestyling everywhere. So it was like, oh, okay, this is the dude from Compton that everybody he got a rep for just showing up at a club and just give me an instrumental, I'm out. And so I'm there. This is my heyday too. I'm playing in the NFL. I got my white Rolls Royce. I'm going hard, and I got 2 tables at this club. And I always get to clubs early. One, I just like to scope it out. I want to see every element that's coming.
Right.
That's just me. And 2, I gotta get my money's worth. I'm like, if I spend all this money, I ain't getting there at no 12:30 in at 1:45.
Those tables ain't cheap.
No, they're not cheap. So I'm there and I'm watching it start to come, and all of a sudden, waitress tapped me. She's like, yeah, that table right there is for someone else. I was like, that table's for who? I said, we got these 2 tables right here. And I'm just like, I'm spending my money, so how can you tell me no? Who's gonna spend more money than me? Well, that table's for Suge Knight. Now, that's when I had a little conflict. Because I'm like, Death Row Suge Knight or Coach Wayne Nunnally Suge Knight? Like, which one's gonna come through? Because I'm gonna say, what's up, Suge? We cool. Like, so anyway, time goes by. My boys are scattered. They macking. They're all through the club, and I'm sitting there kind of by myself, like, Then she comes back. Suge's here. Needs a table. I'm like, no. I was like, we got these tables. I'm still like in the zone where I'm thinking like, I'm good. This is me. Finally, the entourage and the crew start coming towards the table, and I quickly realized maybe I should get this table up. So I did get the table up. All that happened. I get outside. I'm in my car, and I'm sitting there about to leave, and all of a sudden I just could see it and smell it, like just, they coming. Like some cats are coming. I'm like, what? And then it was Game, and it was like Willie McGinnis. They were like, you need to get out of here, dog. And I was like, what's up? He's like, man, Suge and them boys looking for you. And I was like, what? And I just left. A few weeks later, some event, some randomness, I see Suge, and he's just laughing. He's like, what's up, man? What's up, Wiley? Man, I heard that someone went down the other day. I was like, yeah, man, you try to get me messed up. And he was like, oh, I didn't even know it was you, though. And he was laughing it off. I was like, oh, I could have died over it. You just had mistaken identity. But we didn't squash anything. We didn't have any beef. But it was interesting, and it was ironic that it came that close. But we were able to laugh it off.
So you talked about a situation on your show, and you couldn't get into specifics, but it has something to do with the Drake and Kendrick beef.
I've heard of those guys. Good rappers.
So you said, all I know is there was a beef. And all I know is I was witness to where the beef would have ignited to proportions we would not have seen since Ja Rule and 50, maybe even Ice Cube and NWA. Like, it went there. But that was destroyed from everyone's property. That was destroyed, that interview. That moment was destroyed. That's all I'm going to say. But I was there and I heard the shots fired. So you had an interview with Kendrick or Drake?
Look at that. So you know I'm so transparent, so real. But I haven't been sworn to secrecy except it was orders given from one person's camp to our company that they should not air it. And only that keeps me from really going all in on who it was. But I will give you the entire story and let you guess it out.
Okay.
Because I didn't swear to secrecy.
Okay. So let's hear it.
We're doing our interview. This is when I'm taping Sports Nation, Max Kellerman, myself, my co-host. No Michelle Beto at this time. It's just a two-man show. And sometimes we tape, sometimes we go live. To the audience, it usually always looks live, but to us, we may have done it 2 hours earlier. That day, unfortunately, we were taping. So we're taping the interview, and we already know that there's something in the air that's going on between these two rappers. We already know there's a little beef there. So we're like, it's our job, like you just asked me, I'm gonna ask them, what's up with the beef? Is it real? And all of a sudden, you don't really expect those hard fastballs to actually, the batter just says, okay, I'm about to take it. You're like, that's supposed to be a strike. And he tried to hit it, and he started talking noise. I was like, what? Like, I'm thinking I'm on Vlad. I'm thinking I'm Double XL, the source. I'm like, we got beef. Like, it's going down. Like, this is official. And then, so we had a follow-up. Me and my boy, we got chemistry. So we were like, we're going to stay with this. Hit him with the double up, and he doubled down. So we were like, oh, my God. So now it's like noon. And all we have to do is wait an hour for our show hits live, and then the world sees it, and then y'all run with it where you want to. I love rap beef. As long as it stays peaceful, I love rap beef. Nothing better. Go get it. And then all of a sudden, we're walking off set, waiting our time just for the show there or whatever. Ring, ring. And then our bosses come up to us, and they're like, we have to extinguish that interview. We have to discard it. I was like, what? Why? They were like, well, their camp called, and their camp said that shouldn't be aired. And I was like, well, shouldn't have said it too. And I'm thinking in the mindset of, if this was live, would he have said it? And if he did, he couldn't take it back. But it wasn't. So then they were like, it has to go that way. One, that's not our lane. Like, we ain't trying to break rap news. And in their minds, in the corporate mind, they thinking of Tupac and Biggie. So they're like, if anything, this might save us and save some lives. I'm like, I don't think it's going to go there, but whatever. So the moment was lost, the tape gone, and never aired. Now, the guy in me that says, if I ever get fired and I ever just have no job and I can't DJ anymore, anything, I'm going to find that tape and I'm going to sell it. And I'm going to sell it to you.
Okay.
And then we're going to figure this out together.
So you're saying it was either Drake or Kendrick?
Oh, it was the individual. Oh, yeah. This was
Drake or Kendrick went on your show, went ballistic against the other person.
Yeah, and they've both been on our show multiple times because I've seen some stories where people try to put the timeline and, oh, was it then and then? I'm like, all I'm going to tell you is they've both been on our show multiple times.
Multiple times.
So you do the guesswork from there.
Because the interesting thing about the Drake and Kendrick beef is they never really went at each other. There was like this Kendrick BT freestyle that kind of like, well, there was this control verse. The control verse was the King of New York line, right? There's never a Drake Meek Mill all out between these two.
Well, one, I think I read an interview that said that Drake was like, his biggest diss to Kendrick was just like, what's album 2 gonna sound like? Like, I liked album 1, good, or are you gonna back that up? And I don't think that's like a necessary focused diss, but it's certainly a little slight. Like, that's not the most congratulatory thing to say to somebody after a great first album. What you gonna do now? But, you know, and it seems like Kendrick has shown that if you're ever ready, I'm ready too. But I would say that he jumped on Meek Mill, but then when Joe Budden is at Drake, You ain't gonna jump on that for different reasons, but they're
Probably
different
not.
rappers
Yeah,
too.
probably not worth his time.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I think people were saying. But
I mean, I wasn't ready for what Drake came back with Meek Mill. He's too big.
yeah,
He's more like in the R&B lane.
yeah,
Than like back-to-back drop.
yeah. But see, he dropped 2. Now the only thing that to me, because I just saw Meek Mill, we was chopping it up over dinner. The only thing that saves me from Meek Mill is this: he went twice. You went once. Now I don't. Now all these other ones that came later, post-dated, forget that. I'm talking about in that moment, he went twice. Now why did he go twice? Meek Mill could have responded another time and maybe have saved some grace.
Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah.
We'll see what really happens over time. You know, Meek is really an
Right.
artist I really fuck with also.
Oh yeah,
I like his music.
love Meek Mill. Stop playing.
You know, he's still doing his thing. You had done an interview a while back when he said that in the future you expect to see more openly gay players in the NFL.
Yeah.
And you actually were teammates with this, pardon me if I say it wrong, Esero Tawalo. Did you know he was gay when you played with him?
No, man, we didn't know he was gay, and I think we're still in an insensitive time towards gay marriage, you know, homosexuality. I still don't think we're fully tolerant, as we aren't fully tolerant with racism and other negative aspects of this world. I will say this: he was my locker mate, and he was like one over, and there was only one time, and this is how insensitive it was, but this is how we also didn't care. I've never seen this happen before. We're at a preseason game. We're playing in Toronto, and it's us versus Green Bay Packers, Buffalo Bills. And all of a sudden, we look out at the 50-yard line. It's Ezra singing the national anthem. Now, this is so funny because we sitting there like, we got a game to play. He about to sing the national anthem. All right, he better blow. He better sing. And we sitting there. He take off his helmet, and he starts singing, "Oh, say," and he closed his eyes. And he had his head up like this. And everybody was like, is that Ezra? Like, everybody was clowning, like just calling him soft. Now, no one knew anything else. They were just like, and he came back and we was just like, dog. And he was hitting high notes. We was like, dog, you sound like Whitney Houston something. Like, you just, yeah. We was like, you all right? And then that was the closest thing that anybody ever questioned Ezra about anything about him. But I remember that moment because cats were clowning, and no, we never knew. And when I found out, I was disappointed because I was like, dog, in the football locker room, it's special. I mean, anything goes and everything goes, and that's how it goes. And I was upset that, like, dog, you could have told us, and we would have just been like, you're gay, okay. Everybody got to clown around with him now in that respect, you know, and we would have had the jokes for you. But he didn't feel comfortable. And who am I to tell him to feel comfortable? I don't know if all 53 guys in there are going to feel that way, but certainly I wanted him to feel comfortable in that. But he moved on to other teams and then finally retired and then came out. So will there be more going forward? Yes.
There was the first openly gay player, Michael Sam, but he wasn't that good.
You nailed it. It has to be a great player. It can't be good. You can't be marginal. Look. Jesse Owens, you can't be just kind of fast, you know. There's called Jackie Robinson, you can't be just kind of good. And it is what it is. Like, you can't be kind of good if you're going to be a pioneer of something. That's in all respects.
But do you think that you could have a male locker room, and you have the showers, men are naked around each other, you think you'd be comfortable with a gay man in this type of environment?
How primitive are you thinking? I mean, I am. Like, if you're gay, think about it. If you're gay and you, like, I think of you as a person, right? Duh. And if you're gay and you like men, okay, that's fine. But then, do you have a man? Do you like a certain type of man? If you're open enough to say you're gay, I hope you're open enough to say, look, man, I'm going to respect you for your privacy, and I'm not going to respect you. I go back to when I was at Columbia as a freshman. We had co-ed dorms. And when you sign up for a co-ed dorm, the first thing you're thinking, oh, it's a wrap. Like, every time I get in that shower, it's cracking. Like, whoever's in my dorm, look out. I swear, it was the complete opposite, because you're sitting there like, you got so much freedom, you don't even want to take it. No one's saying you can't go in the cookie jar. Everyone's saying cookies everywhere. And you're like, I don't want them cookies. That's how the game was. I never went there. Never even tripped. Girls would walk out in the towel. Hey, what's up? Like, it was like, whatever. I think that I could have handled it. I think other guys could have handled it, but I don't think all guys could handle it, obviously. But come on, man. Like, what do you think he's going to do? He gonna be the one by himself as the gay player in the locker room on the team to do something to violate you and then have everybody else come at him?
Well, yeah, put me in a locker room with a bunch of girl volleyball players, and I don't know if I can keep my concentration.
Well then, okay, so what do you?
You know what I'm saying?
No, but what are you saying to the assistant coach in the WNBA? What about the female reporter when she's in there for the men in the NFL? No. So
That's been an issue, though, hasn't it? Female reporters in the locker rooms?
I wouldn't call it, well, it's still ongoing in terms of they still are allowed to access. I wouldn't go there and say it's an issue. It's always going to be some Stone Age thoughts, man. It's going to be some cats in there just, what to do? I've seen dudes, male reporters, look at our stuff. We used to call one out. It's so crazy because he would go, I always tell people, like, if you really want to see what somebody about, don't look at them when they're in your face. Look at them when they're way away, that distance. And this sucker will be at the corner, and he'd just be checking out meat. And we'd be like, what? And I forgot the song. We had a song for him. And we used to sing it every time, and he never knew anything about it. But that was our song to put everybody on notice. Check him out. He's checking you out.
He's checking you out?
Yeah.
So gay reporters in the locker room, pretty much.
I don't know if he's gay. I don't know if he ever had sex with a man or ever liked a man. I just know that he looked at our stuff more than the women reporter did for sure.
The height of your NFL career, you had done an article a while back where you talked about sex parties in hotels and stuff like that. Like, how crazy did it get at the height of your career? Because, not only are you a major league player, but you also look like a player,
Yeah, it's crazy because, thank you, I'm glad you say I look like a player because I really hated it when I was single and, 27 years old. I get on an airplane first class and the old lady says, excuse me, what team do you play for? And I answer it. It's all real. You keeping it real, keeping it 100, I keep it 100. But then the pretty girl comes on, she's 27. She's sitting there next to me and then she's like, oh, so what do you do for a living? I'm like, this old lady just called it out. I understand you don't want to stereotype me, but stop. Then you're like, oh, really? You play football? Really? Move. All right, so the whole point of it is, man, how crazy did it get? Lord. I don't see how it could get crazier. I've seen crazier, but in the NFL, like when you go on a road trip, like we have curfew, man, like 11 o'clock at night. So you're sitting there like, damn, I'm a grown man. I'm making more money than my coaches. I'm making more money than my whole coaching staff. These suckers, some of them my age, and they're going to tell me go to sleep at 11? You would. 99% of the time you would. And then there was a 1% chance that you may have somebody already in that hotel room, already in that hotel floor. That usually was it. Breaking curfew was kind of dumb.
I didn't even know about the curfews. So 11 p.m.,
yeah.
You could not go out.
No, you can't go out unless you're cool with security, and only certain people are cool with security. It's not just money either. You got to have cachet. You got to have status.
Okay.
So my first years, man, they looking at me like, please, I don't care how much you give me. But then you start to, one, you become comfortable and you know them. They could trust you. You could trust them. And you just slide them a little something, make sure that they're good, and make sure they don't get exposed. The key to it is exposure. So they sit on both ends of the exits, the whole entire floor, and they sit one right by the elevator. Ain't no way on.
Okay, so they have employees of the team and they just watch y'all?
Oh, yeah. At 11 o'clock, Wiley, you in there? Yeah, cool. Now, sometimes it's, Wiley, you in there? Yeah, open the door. All right. Peek. That's actually still good. This is the one that's not good. You in there, Wiley? Yeah, open the door. Open the door. So what's going on? Everything good? What time you going to bed? He peeking, he looking under the sheets and everything and gliding the door. I'm like, Lord. That's the toughest. But all those were the levels you had to go through. And there were times where we would show up, and man, we show up, and then all of a sudden, boom, somebody like, yo, I got some homies out here. I'm like, well. Then next thing you know, you go to this big old suite, and it's like 4 dudes and like 10 girls, and they're all just like, yo, we live here. We think y'all cute. We know y'all rich. Y'all hungry? You want to go eat? I'm like, what?
What y'all want to do?
What y'all want to do? And then sometimes you did what you had to do. And it was just crazy. You just go hang out from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. And this is so random. Like, this is not every year or even every game. But did it happen? Oh, yeah. You were hanging.
This week's episode of The Vlad Couch is brought to you by Audible.com. Do you love books but find you never have time to read them? Well, Audible.com has a perfect solution. Get audiobooks and listen to those books you've been meaning to read while on the go. Listen to them at the gym, during your commute, on your lunch break, anytime you want. Audible.com provides over 250,000 titles from the leading audiobook publishers, podcasters, entertainers, magazines, newspaper publishers, and business information providers. The app is totally free and it works on all Apple devices as well as Android and Windows phones. Unlike a streaming or rental service, with Audible you own your books, so you can access your books anytime and anywhere right from your smartphone. Like, for example, 48 Laws of Power, one of my favorite books. I got it on audible.com. I listen to it every so often to just kind of refresh and get focused on what it is that I'm doing. And look, just for listeners of the Vlad Couch, audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audible.com/Vlad today and start your free trial right now. Again, show your support for the Vlad Couch and get a free trial right now on audible.com/Vlad. Now, you were actually part of the NFL lawsuit?
Yeah.
Was that the concussion?
No.
No, it was the painkiller
medical
lawsuit. You know, I've heard, but I don't remember who said it, but a coach or an assistant coach recently came out and said that human beings should not play football.
Yeah, that was the general manager of the Buffalo Bills.
There you go.
Who tried to retract it the day after.
Well, he still said it?
Yeah, he still said it. He knew what he meant.
You have kids?
Yes.
Would you be okay with your kids playing football?
My statement is I'm going to encourage. No, let me say it the right way. Well, one, I got an older daughter, so she better not play. Lord, stay away from mama. I won't encourage my son, but I will support him. So that means, you know, right now you run around the house. I'm not saying this is a football and you're going to love this. I'm looking at him like, here's a tennis racket and this is pretty sweet, right? And here's a basketball. Learn to dribble. Daddy can't. And that kind of stuff. Because the reason I say it is I remember the random Wednesday. Let's say October 27th, random year, sophomore year of high school. And you know what I did on that Wednesday? I don't know what you did. You may have went home. You may have played on your bike with your friends. You may have played Nintendo, ColecoVision. You may have just called a girl up and said, hey, how's it going? I know what I was doing. Ramming heads 60 times a day on a random Wednesday my sophomore year. I had different incentives. I had to do that, I felt in my mind. I had a cape on my back. We had to fly out the hood. On my back, my talents. My son is not in that predicament. He's not in that situation. So I will support him, but I won't encourage him. And I also know that football is a game of not just skill, but will. It takes so much to make it in the NFL. Forget how big you are, how strong you are, how fast you are. Are you kidding me? Walk down Crenshaw, you're going to see that. What you're not going to see is somebody who wants to go all the way in there and down there to make sure that they stay on the field. And it's a tough place, man. It's a tough place. And with those rigors, if you're not going to pay it off and do it all, do you really want to start that process? So we're going to have a very mature conversation if and when that time comes, and we'll just take it from there.
I mean, just from a biological standpoint, you know, like I recently saw that Will Smith movie about the concussions. The human brain is not designed to be beaten by the skull. Like, you know, they had this kind of cool comparison with a woodpecker's tongue, and it actually wraps around the brain to protect it against the concussions, beating its head against something. The human brain does not. I mean, have you had friends who suffered from all the damage they took during their football careers in terms of mentally?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct in terms of the damage. I had a few concussions, none that I remember. That's funny. None that I remember from the NFL, but dingers, of course, like times where you're blacked out real quick. Like, oh, God, I can't see. Jamie Nails, oh, I got to hit you again. You weigh 420 pounds, but let's do it. But in college, I got knocked out twice. I do remember those moments. I lost a teammate, a friend, Junior Seau, to CTE.
Okay, so you knew him?
Some say, yeah.
That was your teammate?
That was my teammate, yeah.
That was like the big one. When Junior passed, didn't he donate his body to science specifically for this?
Yep. Yeah, and some say that the reason he shot himself in the heart, not in the brain, is to preserve his brain.
Preserve his brain?
And I had seen him, I would say 4 months, maybe 3 months before that, in San Diego, his restaurant event, went to his Hall of Ring of Honor ceremony, and you didn't really see it coming.
Really?
I've heard so many accounts, so many people, so many teammates, so many friends, family. We've all talked through it. I would say the last time I saw him, it was the first time I was like, I didn't even think is everything okay. I was just like, that wasn't normal Junior. Like, whatever, the 100-watt light bulb was at 90, 80. But still, nothing to be like, hey, man, what's up? What's wrong? But obviously, it was darker moments for him and those really close to him in those last moments. Yeah, I saw it. And I've seen Junior do it all on the football field. I mean, throw his body to the wind for the sake of a victory. And, you know, when you see that, it humbles you. It puts things in perspective. It encourages me to tell my son the hard truths, the real truths. And I'm not going to be political ever about my answers with this. You make your decision, but I know my decision will be weighed heavily based on my experiences.
Right. How do you feel about how the NFL initially denied any of this was true?
Oh, man, the NFL, they lying. They know they're lying. Duh. Like, well, they're lying, well, like most people lie for advantageous reasons and to protect your interests. It's north of $15 billion right now the NFL makes as an industry. Are you kidding me? They're protecting that. And guess what they do to protect it? Just like the tobacco industry.
Right.
It's parallel. They're going to make sure that they have elastic language, as they say. Talk out of both sides of your mouth. Make sure you feel comfortable, soccer mom, football mom, and make sure you feel comfortable, football player, but also we're doing as much as we can to help. But no one's being fooled by it now, and I'm glad the awareness is at an all-time high. I never want to say shut down football. I never want to say stop the game.
Do you think that'll ever happen, though? Do you think they'll ever shut down football?
Never.
I mean, even if the scientific evidence shows that it really hurts people?
The demand is too great.
Currently, is there a salary cap on football teams?
Uh-huh.
What is it in general?
Is it low 100 million? It's going up since I left.
100-something million dollars.
Yeah.
Now, I interviewed a number of basketball players, right? And I remember I had a conversation with Rip Hamilton, you know, who used to play for a few teams, including the Bulls. He told me something very interesting. He said, you walk into the NBA locker room, you have these players. What's the NBA salary cap, usually?
It was at 90. It's going to be 90 now.
Okay, so let's just say you have a room where these people are making $100 million a year, right? In the room, in that particular room, night after night, he doesn't remember a single time that him and his teammates talked about how they're investing their money. They would talk about the kind of car they got, maybe some jewelry they got, some chick they messing with, but at no point during any of the games, and he played for a while, did anyone actually talk business among each other. And this is a room of $100 million a year. Did you see the same thing in football?
I actually saw people talking about it, more than him, but certainly less than you expect, certainly less than desired. But think about it. We're getting sold that we're athletes. What does that mean? You're playing a child's game. What happens when you become an adult playing a child's game? You still think it's a game. You think it never ends. You think you think you're good forever.
Right, and the average career of an NFL player is
3-4 years.
So that means, let's say 22, you graduate college. Your career is done at 25 or 26. You're in your mid-20s. Like the whole majority of your life is ahead of you, and yet you no longer get a paycheck. Few people are lucky, like yourself, and manage to transition into, you know, talking about the game, you know, and using their experience to actually monetize it. But most guys, what happens after their career is done?
For most guys, when the career is over, there's a struggle. There's a struggle for identity, struggle in that transition to find what's next, what's going to give you passion. Some guys are happy doing nothing, and they're in a position to.
Happy doing nothing?
Yeah, there's some guys that are happy doing nothing in terms of just pure retirement. There's some guys I know that are happy, healthy, sound mind and body, retired. Very few, but I do know some. Just
meaning they made enough money to retire.
Yeah, or
they're budgeting their money.
Budgeted, spent their money properly when they were making a lot, bought the house, took care of themselves, made sure that everything was paid off. So when you're done, I'm living off of this.
Marshawn Lynch is a good example of this.
Yeah, guys like that, exactly.
Who didn't spend a lot of their money.
Yep.
They're going to retire and be able to live rich for the rest of their life.
Yep. What else do I need to buy? Because then, you're out of that phase of impression. Like, I ain't got to, no more Rolls Royces. Like me right now, I don't care how much money I make at ESPN. And I make athlete money. I make money here like I used to play. Like, I beat the yearly income I used to make when I played on some years. Not all them years. Come on, get your contract money up. What? I'm not buying no Rolls Royce. Like Uber, X on top of that. You're out of that phase. So when you get to that place, it's an interesting place because guys need to talk more about it, but then you got people around you that you trust, and you're like, I'm a specialist in football. I'm a specialist on the field. Let my people handle it. And it's weird because we don't trust each other enough to share information. Therefore, guys get used, abused, and scandals occur. And then the people that work with us, it's weird. They feel that it's almost impossible to dumb it down enough, they feel like. So a lot of them don't put the effort towards it. They're just like, I have this, I got this. And it's a sad state of reality because it continues to be a vicious cycle for guys who can't get out of it in terms of making sure they're good going forward.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, the first time I started making real money, I assumed it was going to last forever. And I blew through it and went broke. And I had to be somewhat homeless and had to rebuild it. And it took a decade to rebuild. And going through this, it made me realize the second time around, I'm not going to let this happen again. But for most athletes, there is no second time around. It's the first time around. You know, because usually people who make it in professional sports, they know they're going to be going in that direction by the time they're in elementary school or so, right? So they're thinking, okay, I'm going to go towards this finish line and boom, I made it there. Then it lasts 3 or 4 years. Then it's over.
It's an inordinate amount of money. You go 0 to 100 real quick. And then it's like
back down to 0.
Versus I have friends, my best friends are Wall Street cats. I'm making, my first year, I got a $500,000 contract. These suckers was making $80,000. So they're like, you balling. You know, all right. I'm making more money than all you guys combined. But then they learned how to live off of 80,000. Then they learned how to live off of 110, 130, 150. So when they finally hit big and I'm coming out, I'm about to retire, these suckers making 4 or 5 million. And they're like, I spend only 100,000. So that's how the game goes. It's not by race. I always try to dispel this myth because a lot of people think, oh, well, it's a lot of athletes and a lot of athletes are black, so it's the black people problem. No. If you're young and you make money, you're not a black person. You're young and you make money, you're going to spend it. Now, here's the thing. It's just like allowance. If you get it in ration, you will learn a rationale of how to spend it. It's just that simple. And these are all generalizations, but simply put, if the athletes were saved from themselves until they were in their mid-30s, late 30s, 40s, oh my God, it'd be a completely different world.
Skip Bayless recently left ESPN. Were you and Skip close?
I haven't talked to him or seen him in a while, but I would say close in the sense of that friend that as soon as you see him, you just pick up where you left off. He was great to me when I used to travel back and forth to Bristol, which stopped like 2010. I've seen him since then, but it's been very few occasions. I love the dude. Ultimate respect for him because his persona on TV is not who he is. He always looked out for me and others and was always gracious in making sure that you felt comfortable on his show and allowing you opportunities to shine, and more importantly, helped you if you wanted to learn the system of how to prepare. Love him.
Why do you think he was such a polarizing figure in sports?
A few reasons. One, his conviction was like he did everything he said as an athlete. And when you have that type of conviction, usually people are like, let me see that resume one more time. Oh, you're just talking about it? And when him and Jalen Rose had their encounter, stuff like that, I think you got to add all these ingredients up. This dude is talking like he Michael Jordan in basketball, Barry Sanders in football. Like, what? And you're like, hold on, you telling me this? And then sometimes there will be real athletes getting criticized, getting clowned. Two, the whole Tebow mania was crazy, and he was Tebow's biggest fan, and everybody was looking at Tebow like, what? And this guy was like, no, he's good. And Tebow actually played well if you really isolate his games, played well enough to validate that. But I think beyond that, we are attracted to people who believe in themselves, confidence. The ugly dude at the club with the pretty girl, like, you be like, what? You should know. He believes. And I think Skip sold conviction and confidence more than anybody else. And then also he was so well prepared. Even if you disagree, you got to say, but damn, he made me think. He challenged me and he never wavered. So all those things are elements of polarization.
He wasn't a big fan of LeBron.
Nah, I'm mad at him for that one. Now, I mean, LeBron's never done a damn thing wrong. Exceeded expectations. I love that dude, LeBron. Love him.
Why do you think he has an issue with LeBron?
Probably like the old grandpa who just sees so much in you and you can never satisfy them. I mean, we've seen the movie. Some people live the existence where you just can never satisfy them. So as soon as you see the chosen one and I'm the king and, you're a king in my day, you call yourself king, you know what you got to do? You got to be perfect. And that's not even good enough. He wanted LeBron to walk uphill both ways to school. You know, like LeBron, outside of Jordan, LeBron's like, bring them all. I'm in that conversation. I think Skip looked at LeBron like, if you're the next coming, one, don't tell me about it, just do it. And two, in our world today with social media and everyone has an opinion now, but everyone doesn't deserve a voice like that. Yeah, you can vote, give you that, but everybody just talking about everything. Like, it's just like, okay, and that's why I laugh at Twitter. I don't know if I love it or I don't hate it. I just laugh. Like, I will never go like raw on Twitter. Like, I can't have a Twitter beef. Like, are you kidding me? There's real people dying in this world. I'm over here mad at your characters that you just typed. But I just laugh like when the dude who just valeted you can write LeBron and say, you suck. And that actually has like a place. That's so weird because it's like, dude, I don't suck and you're wrong. And matter of fact, park my car. Like, what the hell? Like, I just don't get it. But I'm judgmental like that. I'm like, dog, if you're going to go there, you got to be somewhere in there. And I think that's a funny place right now.
I mean, I lost a few dollars in the finals betting against LeBron, but I felt like LeBron didn't have that killer instinct that like Jordan or Kobe had, where it's like when it came down the wire, you just give him the ball and they go win it for you. You know, because he had been in the finals a bunch of times, but he didn't win a bunch of times. Like, you know, Jordan won every time he went to the finals. But he kind of surprised a lot of people this time around.
Well, yeah, one, let's get some facts out there. LeBron's been in 7 finals. Only 2 has he been the favorite. Only 2. Now think about it. So that means the other 5 you were supposed to lose. And you know what? You lost 4 of those 5. And one of them you won when you weren't supposed to. Blah, whatever. Still, if you're that great, go against the odds. Go against all odds. I get it. His killer instinct is different. Like, with that body type, it's the curse of the gifted. And I've seen it 1,000 times with tremendous athletes. No one is perfect. No elements are perfect. You think about it, you're like, oh my God, Jordan, he's perfect. He never lost in the finals. He never went to a game 7. He did take 2 years off, though. Now, you call that what you want, but in the middle of his highest success, he said, got to step away from this. For whatever reason. There's conspiracy theories, there's real ones. But if I'm racing you and halfway you say, hold on, I'll be right back. Huh? We still running. But I'll leave that alone. No one's perfect. Magic Johnson lost 4 finals. He went to 9. No one's perfect. Kobe has lost in the finals. Kobe's had his dark years. These are all the greatest ever. LeBron is just LeBron. LeBron is a facilitator who doesn't want to go to dark places because of his upbringing. He doesn't want to go to that place where he went on Steph Curry, who, you know, grew up without the father and the Akron, the real raw. He doesn't want to go there. As I don't like to go to that dark place too. So I'm so happy. I'm happy because I've escaped that, and don't take me back there because I'll go there. And then you'd be like, damn, why did we go there? Steph Curry, Golden State, they talking about he's the best player, the best team ever. LeBron said, on my watch, on my throne, I'm the king. And guess what he did to Steph? Punked him. He just went at him. He just said, you want to walk down the street to the championship. I want to go in this alley. You coming? And Steph didn't want to go in that alley. Now, Jason Terry did that to LeBron in 2011 with the Dallas Mavericks. He said, LeBron, let's go in this alley. LeBron didn't want to go in that alley. It happens, man. But once you get beat up, one thing you're going to learn is how to fight.
Now, Derrick Rose just got drafted to the Knicks.
Yeah, he got traded.
I'm sorry, he got traded to the Knicks. And as soon as that happened, the memes just were going crazy. Like, you know, Derrick Rose hurt himself boarding the plane. Like, you know, he was tying his shoes. He broke his leg. Like, you know, they have these pictures up, and you see him lining up at the airport. It's ridiculous.
That's how the game goes now, man. I love it. Like, that's all I post on social media is like memes. Like, 1, we're playing a game. 2, it ain't serious. Like, please don't take any offense to it. I go at my favorite team, the Clippers, when it's their time to go down and they lose in the second round or whatever. I go at my favorite players. I go at my homeboys. I don't care because you could come back at me. All right, we just have fun. It's hilarity to me, but if that's the worst that happens to these athletes, good job, athletes. We're in a great place because the worst is somebody thinks of you, puts your head on some other person's body or some other scene and says, oh, look at you. You're hurt again. Huh. I laugh it off. all of it. And it magnifies their brand. It just keeps them in the news cycle. So all love for the memes.
No doubt. I mean, do you see Derrick Rose working out with the Knicks?
If you isolate his numbers post All-Star last year, they were MVP caliber in terms of when he won the MVP. Like, it was like comparable numbers. It's like, whoa, this is Derrick Rose looking like he's back. But the best ability is availability. Trent Dilfer. Now, is he going to be available? Is he going to play 82 games?
Yeah, this is why I think his sneakers don't sell that well. I remember they put up this cast, like, the limited edition.
Yeah, like, it's hard. Like, big men, it's hard to sell their shoes. Shaq shoes, stop. Like, I ain't 7 feet. I'm gonna wear those. There's profits, and then there's, like, how much are you a part of, like, the mindset of the market, that marketplace. And it's we know what the game is. It's those wing players, those fresh players, or players that stay healthy, or Steph Curry, LeBron. Kyrie. Woo, Kyrie's next. I got news for anybody thinking that it's going to go LeBron and then Steph, LeBron and then Westbrook. It's going to be Steph, Westbrook, and Kyrie saying, give it to me. Give it to me.
So when you left high school, you had a chance to play on a lot of big schools, but you actually chose Columbia, which is an Ivy League, and their record was in the trash. The definition you gave was really dope. Was that, a lot of players choose a team strictly for football, strictly for sports, but you actually looked at getting an Ivy League education?
Yeah. I had to make that decision. One, I just felt the responsibility. I owed my family too much to not go just after my ego stroke of being at a big football program and on ABC and Whoa Nelly and, Rose Bowl, all that. Oh, it seduced me, trust me. But I knew, what if I blew out my knee my freshman year? What if I just wasn't as good as advertised? I need that education. And to me, it's a simple formula. I tell all the kids this. I tell my daughter, U.S. News and World Report, what's the academic ranking? And then give me this this football, basketball, track, what do they rank? Add those two scores up. The one with the lowest, maybe that's the one you should go to, the lowest of the two. So football, Columbia wasn't even ranked 100-something. But guess what they're ranked academically? 4 in the world. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. And I just needed that advertisement, which is basically what the college experience turned into for me. Not one person has ever asked for my GPA. Not one person really cared about what I majored in other than, oh, this is good cocktail talk. But the reality is they all think I'm intelligent, whether I say a word or not, whether I am or not.
Because you have an Ivy League degree.
You have an Ivy League education. I said, damn it. Once I walk around with these muscles and this height, people say, you play football. They think a certain thing. Well, I'd rather them think I'm intelligent because that's going to take me a lot more places than just these muscles. And that was just the choice I made. Somewhat of a sacrifice, but huge rewards from it.
I mean, I could tell you, I went to Berkeley and I would hang out in these sports tutoring centers and I would see Jason Kidd and like whoever else during that time. No one was studying. No one was really going to classes. People were just playing sports, especially star players. Why do you think there's so little emphasis on education for athletes? Which is really a catastrophe, I feel. Because you go to college, you have all the resources. You can get whatever degree you want for free.
Well, I think what they do, the colleges and that entire system from the pro level all the way down, is they attack the human element, which I think one of our human conditions is to get the most for doing the less, like to do the least. Like we all, what? A lotto ticket? Why do you think lotto tickets used? And who buys them? The poor people. Poor people buy them trying to get the most. You want to get the most, doing the least. And when in college, if they say, hey, you got 2 roads. You can go this road and take this poli-sci course and go to sleep and wake up and try and get an A, and it's going to kill you. Or take this road. Somebody's going to help you. You're going to get a C, C+. You ain't going to learn a damn thing, but you'll be fresh for the games. The human element is just going to say, and I don't need poli-sci in my life. I don't need it. I don't need this degree. I'm not going anywhere with it. They catch you at 17. You're 17 years young. You're not thinking. You're thinking as deep as what's better, Fat Burger, In-N-Out. Like, that's it at 17. You're not going hardcore like, no, I can't let you sabotage my future, my education. And they catch you when you're young, and then next thing you know, you realize you wasted a lot of precious moments and opportunities. But a lot of times it's too late.
What do you think about the whole situation?
Man, my point of view, man, I really feel like they tried to paint a bad picture on my brother and try to make him look like he was a hater. It was some envy, jealousy type shit, you know what I'm saying? And actuality, you know what I'm saying? Bro been having this shit, man. He been in the condo.
I got my hat on and I had my Coke bottles up under my hat. And I'm sitting at the dinner table like an asshole with the hat on, knowing she gonna tell me to take it off. And I'm just sitting there just gulping down, you know, in my zone. She said, take that goddamn hat off at the dinner table. I'm like, come on, mom. Coke everywhere.